Welcome, everyone, to Key West Uncovered, the podcast where we highlight upcoming festivals and events. I'm your host and Key West Concierge, Claire. I can't help grinning whenever I talk about Key West. I've been here quite a while, and every year around late October, the island suddenly crackles with this magical anything-can-happen energy. We're talking feather bows on bicycles, people dressed up as mythical beasts strolling through Old Town, all while tropical breezes blow in off the ocean. The vibe says, leave your inhibitions at the door because we're about to have some serious fun. And that fun has a name, Fantasy Fest.
That name alone sets the stage for something totally outrageous. Every time I plan a trip back here, I figure Key West can't possibly top its last big party. Then October hits, and the entire town pulls out the stops like it's the ultimate carnival. I've heard it's more than just a costume bash. It has a storied history dating back to 1979. Give me the scoop on why this 10-day extravaganza enchants people so thoroughly.
Back in '79, a few local business owners realized that October was a bit sleepy. The sun was still shining, but tourism had dipped after summer. Their solution? Throw a giant Halloween-themed parade to lure visitors and show off that signature island spirit. It worked. One small event sparked a massive annual celebration that now draws tens of thousands of people. These days, you see Key West absolutely transformed, like a tropical fantasy land where costumes are not just encouraged, they're practically required. The party goes from October 17th through October 26th this year. Hotels fill up fast, so plan ahead if you're eyeing a place to stay. The moment mid-October arrives, it's all about bedtime stories and magical monsters.
Bedtime stories and magical monsters sure puts my imagination in overdrive. Think bedtime fairies or menacing goblins, maybe that monster under your childhood bed suddenly coming to life on Duval Street. It's equal parts whimsy and mischief. I'm half expecting to see storybook characters dancing at a late-night block party. If I were a first-timer, what's the most mind-blowing event I can't afford to miss?
The grand finale parade on Saturday night, October 25th, is a spectacle for the ages. Floats, elaborate costumes, local bands, some of them perched on moving platforms, and even the occasional confetti cannon lighting up the evening sky. It weaves from one side of the island to the other, capturing this essence of Key West where everyone's a performer. If you miss it, you'll be kicking yourself for the rest of the year. But there's so much going on before that big moment. I always tell folks the fun starts the moment you stroll along Duval and catch glimpses of mermaids in line for Cuban coffee.
I've heard about the local community involvement too. Something about a king and queen of Fantasy Fest crowned to benefit a charity? That sounds so Key West. Combine flamboyance with heart. Any story behind that?
It began as a way to raise funds for community organizations, originally for A.H. Monroe and now for the Florida Keys SPCA. Candidates vie for the titles, hosting all kinds of wacky fundraisers like pie tosses or dance parties. The one who raises the most money gets crowned. The royal coronation itself is part pageant, part variety show, and part block party. It's one of my favorite nights, because you see how locals and visitors come together to support a cause while wearing the most dazzling costumes. The philanthropic spirit, mixed with that signature flair, is pure Key West.
I love that the festival's not just about partying. There's a purpose, and there's also a schedule, packed with everything from a Tutu Tuesday bar crawl to a toga party at Sloppy Joe's. I'm planning my itinerary, though my schedule might say all-day costume fiasco. Do you have a personal favorite among the smaller events leading up to the parade?
For me, the Bahama Village Goombay Festival is a perfect way to kick things off. You get non-stop reggae, soca, conch fritters, and hand-painted crafts. It's family-friendly and held in this historic part of town that was central to our island's Afro-Caribbean heritage. I can also never resist the Key West Pet Masquerade. Let's just say you haven't lived until you've seen a dachshund dressed as a tiny sea monster scurrying across a stage. And the Tutu Tuesday scene is hilarious. Grown men in bright pink tutus dancing under palm trees is classic fantasy fun, with a pinch of humor.
I can't decide if I'd be more likely to sport a tutu or a toga. Then again, there's the zombie bike ride, which sounds wild. Thousands of costumed zombies on bicycles slowly rolling through the streets. That alone might be worth a plane ticket. Picture a line of undead cheerleaders, pirates, and alien creatures pedaling past palm trees.
The zombie bike ride is a hoot. Families come out in the afternoon with their kids decked in face paint and silly masks. As the sun sets, the costumes get a little more adult. By the time you reach downtown, it's a full-on zombie takeover. Music, dancing, an impromptu street party at the end. It's a communal tradition that shows how creative and welcoming Key West can be. And speaking of creativity, you can't miss the headdress ball. People design these massive, jaw-dropping headpieces that sparkle and sway, each one telling a story. It's a chance to see real artistry on stage.
So we've got parades, costume nights, bike rides with zombies, and a pet masquerade. The entire 10 days sound like a playful dream. But first-timers might be worried about navigating the crowds or the infamous Key West sun. What's your insider tip for making the most of it without getting overheated or missing out?
Pack water, sunscreen, and a sense of humor. You're going to sweat. Embrace it. The vibe here is laid back and carefree, so don't let a little humidity cramp your style. Wear costumes that breathe. Body paint might look awesome, but you'll want some comfortable shoes. And do a little planning. If you want front row seats to the big parade, scope out a spot early. Don't hesitate to strike up conversations with locals. We love giving directions, costume compliments, and unexpected conch fritter recommendations.
I appreciate a good conch fritter. My taste buds thank you in advance. One thing that always strikes me about Fantasy Fest is how you sense this synergy between visitors and residents. The street parties feel so inclusive, and it's common to strike up a conversation in line for the bar with someone who's a total stranger, then go dancing together an hour later. Is that just the Key West charm at play?
It's like the entire island transforms into one big friend group. People are here to let loose and be themselves, whether that means dressing as a giant fairy godmother, a mythical creature from a bedtime fable, or simply a zombie in a baseball jersey. I think it's because we're physically at the end of the road. There's only one way in and out, so it creates this cozy, inclusive environment. Everyone's invited to the party, and you instantly become part of the family.
I love that. It's not just another Halloween party. It's an extended expression of imagination and generosity. You've got fundraising, cultural celebrations, a hearty dose of humor, and a truly epic sense of community. For someone like me who's looking to break from everyday life, this festival is a dream come true. Sounds like I'll need at least a trio of costumes, maybe 4 if I get overly ambitious.
3 or 4 is a solid start, especially if you plan on hitting different themed parties. 1 for Zombie Bike Ride, 1 for Tutu Tuesday, 1 for the Captain Morgan Masquerade March on Friday night, and a final showstopper for the big Saturday parade. And you can improvise. Mix and match your magical monster attire with a dash of your bedtime fantasy. Nobody's judging if you show up dressed as a glow-in-the-dark unicorn on Friday and an evil wizard on Saturday.
I'm sure I'll find some local shops selling wild accessories in case I need to piece together a last-minute get-up. I imagine renting a bike might be wise. Seems like that's the best way to slip through the crowds and discover local gems. And let's be honest, I'll want the freedom to pedal to the next costume contest if the mood strikes me.
Biking is a lifesaver. No parking headaches, and you can zip from one party to another. Some folks get so into the festival they customize their bikes with lights and monster-themed decorations. If you see a bike that looks like a dragon, don't be surprised. It's part of the ordinary magic around here. The only real challenge is deciding which events to attend because you can't possibly do them all. My approach is to pick a couple of must-sees and let spontaneity guide the rest.
That's perfect. Sometimes the best moments happen when you wander off Duval Street, follow the music, and discover a hidden costume party that wasn't even on your radar. This festival truly sounds like one of those bucket list experiences. If I wasn't already convinced to come, I am now. Any final nudge for travelers who are on the fence?
If you've ever dreamed of leaving the real world behind for a tropical playground where your imagination runs wild, this is it. The moment you land here in October, you step into a swirl of color, camaraderie, and endless possibility. It's not just about dressing up. It's about celebrating life and community under the palm trees. You'll dance, you'll laugh, you might even make a few new friends, human and otherwise. I can't think of a better reason to book a ticket.
I'm getting my costume ideas in order already. Maybe something from a childhood dream gone slightly off the rails. It's going to be epic. Thanks for sharing all this insider intel and excitement. I can't wait to see the confetti flying on Duval, cheer on the pet parade, and maybe even snag a cameo on someone's float. Let's do it. Fantasy Fest 2025, here we come.
You know I'll be there, probably covered in sparkles, dancing with a dinosaur or a fairy godmother by my side. Let's keep that Key West spirit alive and make some incredible memories. If you're listening and this sounds like your kind of adventure, don't hesitate. Just follow the music, the laughter, and that trail of glitter. We'll be waiting, costumes in hand. This has been KeyWestTourist.com's Key West Uncovered. See you soon.